Marriage in Islam is viewed as a very important religious tradition. It's a contract between the couple and between Allah. So in this episode, we're gonna be talking about 10 Muslim marriage traditions. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and for this video, before we jump into the different traditions, I got a question for you guys. Are you married, or do you want to get married, or like, what are your plans for yourself when it comes to marriage? Let me know your thoughts down below. For me, I'm not married, but that's definitely my plan. Just don't know exactly when though. But anyways, let's just jump into this episode. Starting at number 10, the tradition of no specific officiator for the wedding. So marriage traditions differ depending on the culture as well as the Islamic branch. And in Islam, there is no specific clergy who are designated to officiate weddings. So any Muslim who understands Islamic tradition really well and is a practicing Muslim can officiate a wedding. There are also many people that use marriage officers called ma'zun. And if a Muslim wedding ceremony takes place in a mosque, you'll need to take off your shoes for sure before you enter into the mosque. So yeah, just a few things to keep in mind, but no, there's no specific clergy that is like, yes, that person and only that person can officiate a wedding. The tradition at number 9 is mahr. The marriage contract includes a mahr, which is a formal statement that specifies a certain amount of money that the groom is going to give to the bride. And the mahr actually specifies two components. Now, the first component is that there is a certain amount of money that's to be owed before the marriage is consummated. And then there is a second deferred amount that's given to the bride throughout her lifetime. However, nowadays though, you're going to find that many couples actually just use wedding rings as the first payment of mahr, and then the deferred amount can come in the form of a little sum of money or some sort of gift. Another interesting tradition in the religion of Islam is separating genders at a wedding. Gender separation at weddings is pretty common when it comes to Muslim tradition, and not every Muslim though will choose to separate the genders at their wedding, but more traditional ceremonies, they're actually going to keep the men separate from the women. And during the reception, you'll see men and women celebrating in different rooms, or the rooms are divided up by a partition, or even some cases, men and women just sit at different tables. Walima is the next tradition at number 7. This is the wedding feast. After the wedding contract is signed, the feast that follows is called the walima. And in some Muslim cultures, the walima can last for multiple days. One thing to keep in mind though, when you're feasting and having fun at a wedding, the consumption of alcohol is forbidden in the religion of Islam, so you typically won't find any open bars at a wedding, or you won't see any guests giving toasts with champagne in their hand at a traditional Muslim wedding. Nikah comes in at number 6. So the marriage contract is signed in a nikah ceremony where the groom or a representative of the groom actually proposes to the bride in front of at least 2 witnesses. And in Islamic law, marriage, or specifically the marriage contract, is referred to as nikah. And the bride and the groom during this time repeat the word kabul, which means I accept in Arabic, 3 times. And then the marriage contract is then signed. And if men or women are separated for the ceremony, there's going to be a male representative called a wali that acts on the bride's behalf during the nikah. We made it to the halfway mark in this episode. We got 5 more traditions to look at. But before we get into the last 5, I gotta let you know about our video about supernatural beliefs in Islam. It's one of our most popular videos here on FTD Facts. I've linked to that down below in the video description section. Very fascinating, very interesting. A lot of people had a lot to say about that video. I'll link to it below in the video description section, as well as also put it in the card section of this episode. But if there is another topic that interests you, I do have a link to a playlist that has videos about different religions from different parts of the world. So if you're interested in that, scroll through that playlist to find a video that you love and keep on learning here with us. All right, let's get back to this episode. We have tradition number 5, and that is the vows and blessings. So sometimes following the nikah, there may be other traditions included into the ceremony, like the recitation of Fatiha, which is the first chapter of the Quran. And now in many cases, Muslim couples do not say their vows, but there's a wedding officiator that generally speaks about the importance of marriage and things like that. But yes, at some Muslim weddings, the bride and the groom, they do say their vows, and a common format that they follow is this. So the bride would say, I, the bride's name, offer you myself in marriage in accordance with the instructions of the Holy Quran and the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. I pledge in honesty and with sincerity to be for you an obedient and faithful wife. And then the groom would say, I pledge in honesty and sincerity to be for you a faithful and helpful husband. Number 4 brings us the Zafa tradition. The Zafa is a newlywed couple's grand, epic entrance to their wedding reception. You'll typically find this at a Muslim Arab wedding, and it typically starts off with the bride's father walking his daughter to her groom, and it's then followed by a little parade of drummers and musicians playing Arabic music. And during the Zafa, the rings are moved from the right hand to the left hand. And that leads us to tradition number 3, the final farewell. This tradition is all about the bride and the groom leaving their wedding. So when they're driving out in their vehicle, it's usually a decorated vehicle, friends and family members, they go and follow that vehicle in their own vehicles, where they can be heard playing loud music and honking, you know, just to let the whole world know that, hey guys, these people just got married, so let's make a lot of noise in the streets. Tradition number 2 is arranged marriage. So Muslim marriages are sometimes arranged by the parents. It still happens, yes. Although divorce is allowed in certain circumstances, the ideal is to actually find a partner that you're not going to divorce. So yes, the parents do what they can to make sure that they find suitable partners for their children. And just to make it clear, it is forbidden in the religion of Islam for parents as well as others to force or try to trick people into getting married to somebody for whatever reason. And although many marriages can be arranged, it has to be with the two parties willingly consenting to get married. A Muslim male and a Muslim female are both expected to be virgins at the time of their first marriage. Of course, if they remarry, that's not necessarily a requirement because they were married before and that marriage would have been consummated. The tradition number 1 in this episode is signing on behalf of the bride. So in Islam, not every person consummates their marriage physically right away. Like for instance, sometimes the bride is very young, so it's considered to be a lot more suitable just to wait until she's a bit older to consummate the marriage. And sometimes the couple may not even be able to live together for whatever reason, so of course, it can't be consummated. But a wedding contract though may be put together and signed and witnessed without the bride actually being there in person. And this can be done, like I mentioned, if the bride doesn't plan to live with her spouse right away. Almost like you're married, but like you're in that limbo phase. You're kind of just waiting to finalize the marriage, but on paper and in front of witnesses and in front of Allah, you're married. And that's where I'm going to end this episode. That was a brief look at 10 surprising and interesting Muslim marriage traditions. Really hope you guys found this one entertaining and informative and you learned something new from it. I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below about anything that I shared in this episode or any other Muslim marriage traditions that you know about. Let me know down below. Don't forget to check out those videos that I recommended for you. Again, those links are below in the video description section, as well as you'll find them in the card section of this episode. Okay, so I said enough in this episode. I'm done. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna work on some more videos for you guys. Until next time, stay awesome, stay educated. I'll see you soon.